Yep. All right. Call to order. Any public comment? Okay. County farm waste issue. Farm waterway issue. Why don't we put that a little further down? Kyle's on his way. He knows a little bit more about it. If he doesn't, he kind of filled me in on it. He's got a little bit more as to what's going on with it. FSA update.
I talked to Dave Anderson from the state, well, from the down Springfield. This land agreement before, they're all, they've agreed to everything. They're happy with everything. They're very happy with the way everything went. He does say that he knows he has to get come here and do an official inspection. That's how it is, but he just hasn't gotten to it. Probably not happening right away. So that's no big deal. The official. Okay.
So, can we take it off of our agenda for next month, or do we need to keep it on? We're done?
The only thing that's left is, I don't know, I think we're still missing a little bit from the final billing from Mark. I did get this month, I got a bill from Weber for the air conditioning work, to change that air conditioning for the computer room, and I sent that over to Mark. Because all that was going in bid.
Right, and then he'll send us a bid.
The final bill, the final bid, yeah.
Maintenance supervisor report. Go ahead, you can start.
There's a small issue with the court's office. That's coming up with that. Side of that, a little brush list, kind of bypass that, got that done. To repair that whole pump, all the cooler has straight around out of it, to repair that, so it's kind of bypass that around out, figure out what needs to be done with it. We have issues with air conditioning, so my we have that cold spell that kept kicking out. I kind of had to go long installed. They made me phone calls to Amazon if they come make me phone calls, and came back and he said that had a lockout. We'll get a little light reads outside. So we got that whole out that's when we're going to have problems.
I think this week tonight or tomorrow night. I think we're going to have a problem.
Whoever that can notify us and take care of 911. That's down, just getting in touch with that. I think that's very well over. That was done. They had also 911, they had a bathroom and we took out all the wires and everything, so we got that order a place for that, got that back there. A girl that was in our house here, Samantha, we had to let her go. She had 4 days before she showed up, all and everything. She was in a lot of hours prior to that. So right now we have a fellow here from Manpower. We could put out ad to hire somebody who's got an application. So I'll start that process this week. I'd like to hire all manpower. He's the hustler, he goes. But it would be a matter of finding out basically a contract, and then how I have to buy contract. I called manpower and buy contract, we get $600,000.
What happens, did you explore what happens if we keep him through manpower until the contract expires? Can we then hire him?
The way they set that contract is on an annual salary, so whatever, the annual fee would be that and, so there's a certain amount of services, pay attention to that. Up to 30 days, 125%, before that's, $15,000, 125%, whatever. After 60 days, it drops to, drops out like 15% after 60 days, but that 5% difference, and they're still paying the same amount, would keep them on for that extra month. The fees that we're paying manpower are greater than the difference between that 25 and 50%, which what she's on. 15% amount, more or less, right around $1,000, so.
Okay, I'm sort of following that, but I guess my question is when does he become a free agent from Manpower? When's he available? And what you're saying is to keep him as a Manpower employee would be a greater amount than to just buy out the contract. Is that what you're saying? Because how long is is our contract for with him?
Well, I think we have to up to 6 months.
So it expires in 6 months?
Yeah, so we're paying them for the while, and they're very cheap.
Did,
1,500 to go after 30 days would be less money than carrying him for 6 months off.
and pay the Manpower?
Pardon me?
And continue on the Manpower?
Correct. The boiler issue, the high end, it's kicked out I think they were all getting him, I think they talked about a lot more than pretty chill this morning. But it doesn't matter, at least got that going, so. So that's why I think it's that.
What about the temperature in the room with the cooler at the Public Health Department? Is that resolved?
The room temperature is not all, but they brought on an environment and checked the refrigerator, and that's where they have problems with the refrigerator. Their refrigerator was low, once they brought us that, and the refrigerator was running line. What we've done is just shut down the thermostat, and those 2 rooms, and one, and turn that off. The refrigerator, so they're satisfied right now.
Okay.
Concerning the hiring, do you have to have a motion to hire him, or you bring him before the full board? What do you do?
We have to go through the interview process. Or can we just
We have interview some people, they've got...
If he wants to hire this guy from Manpower, if you wanted to consider that, what do you have to do?
He's going to go through the interview process. He's got some applications, and you can look at the applications. I looked at them last week. He's got them in his office. So you're going to do the interviews, and then I guess it'll be on the agenda next one.
It's a replacement hire, so, I mean, so he can interview and hire somebody. I mean, it'll
And we'll
be in the
approve it
minutes,
after the
but
fact.
Do we approve it after the fact? Or once he hires them, they're hired, right?
And it's no different than any of the other offices, they have an opening, somebody leaves and they're just replacing, in the past, that hire has never gotten the approval of the board. It's up to that manager to hire somebody for their department.
I mean, if we want to give input to him, I'm sure they'll take input.
And that employee is a part-time employee, is at will, and not a union,
No,
so...
no union, it's a union.
It is a union position, so it's not an at-will position.
Well, right. It follows the guidelines of the ASME contract, that's the ASME part-time position.
Okay.
Anything else?
I did have one thing too, two restrooms that we've got a maintenance or watching something or not, because in two restrooms, all four of the back and
Quickly.
Yeah.
Gonna have to probably get a sewer guy in to route it out or check it out, or unless you think you can handle it, but well, now you said you had a floor drain that was plugged up. Was that down there or over here?
That was down here.
Okay.
Now we were able to just route out a little hand out of it. I don't think that happened. We ended up that whole oil that we can't find us clean out,
Do you know where any cleanouts are? Or?
Yeah, we walked down there. I was telling them I have a whole stool.
So historically, this hasn't been a problem before, this is a new issue?
Could it be because of the added traffic from the health department?
Well, possibly could be true, you know, I don't know. Like Dave, I think they get up in the hills, usually does that there, they're out of, I'll be here, time.
I guess you get it taken care of today. All right. What do you got? Anything?
One of the bills I have down is for, the tree and more boilers over in the jail courthouse. First time I've done it in 4 years. So I've done it for a couple of years now. I had a couple of circulating to go down. So it's basically all I had. Between the public health, still have computers, printers, TVs, and then still tool shed. One time I did some one of those, so I had to get that push back running. So
Are they functional? Does anybody know? They're not functional.
So I don't know if there's anything to recycle. I think most of them have hard drives. Hard drives have got on that thing for years. But there's monitors, two or three TVs, a lot of computers. I've been trying to collect pallets. I'm going to say there's 3 or 4 pallets of computers.
Is that something we need to take care of, or does the health department committee need to take care of that because of the information that's on them?
It could be a plus for everybody. I don't know. The majority, I would say,
I've got this, that, that we just replaced the 5 for Bob's office, and then Mary Ann, that's the same thing that happened. I mean, what happened last year, Roger was over in the truck and took it to the recycling center, that Kyle from who runs the recycling center, he just stood there and watched when he took out and managed them. I don't know, we paid out, Gary White come up and take our hard drives out, but the recycling center didn't charge us anything, so somebody wants to shout out to Kyle at the recycling center and he'll do that again for us. That would be a possibility.
These were functioning when they were taken out of health. Why aren't they functionable now?
I think they're out of date.
They're just old and out of date.
Yes. I don't know.
Let's fix that, yeah, for sure. A lot of those were too, they got targeted when they moved over here. If it's a Windows XP computer, those have a very high incidence of
Virus.
virus because they're not being maintained and supported.
You guys asked me to get some prices on these generators. They call them Metro Power. The last quote we got was September 7th, 2014. So I called them and asked them if they would honor that same price of $20,000 to do 40. And they said they would. Okay? So then I got an estimate, on piping the gas line from Weber, and that was $43.20. And D&D Electric, I can't remember.
34.50.
34. The only thing I have left is the cement. I couldn't get the cement because I don't know the dimensions of the weight. I don't know if it's got to be a footing or some kind of footing for this generator. But Kyle should have some clue about the cement work.
I think he would. No, shoot it. Somewhat of a price.
I want to clear up this generator. Right now, we have a transfer switch over there that we placed 5-6 years ago because the other one went bad. Okay, that's 150 amp. Okay. This new generator we're getting is 200 amp. If down the road we need to increase our power, we need to put up another transfer switch at 50 amp. Our old generator right now is probably 40 amp. So we're increasing our power anyway with the new generator more than we have now. So I think it would be more than adequate on this new generator because it'll handle 150 amp, which we're not even close to being 150 amp on our service now. But I'm just saying that the generator is going to be bigger than our transfer switch. Okay? All right. If you want to add a new 200 amp transfer switch, you can add $1,800. But that's going to eliminate the one we already have.
So you can do that by adding an additional 50 amp switch, or you
If
can
we need it
replace
down
it
the
with
line,
the...
yeah.
Okay.
I also got the scope of work for the jail chases. You asked me to get some, right now it's $1,370. I asked for $15,000. We can cut this back. It depends on, I'm supposed to have a guy coming for M&O insulation and Bill Thomas to test which I think is asbestos, and glove and bag it to remove it. How old is that building? 63. Most definitely, I think it is. So that's the scope of work you can cut back based on the asbestos.
Whoa.
What?
It's for repiping water lines at the jail. Boiler update. Did you get anything from Henneman?
No,
I haven't heard anything.
I thought I told you, sorry.
You might have.
I talked to him last week. I got to fill out, a quarterly report for the, Department of whatever, who's giving us the grant. And it was due in last week, by the 31st of January, for October, November, December. So I called and talked to, first I called the guy from the state to ask him how to do this work. And then On it, there's a go, I did make copies, you guys can read this one. There are target dates, you have to sit down, and I called Lyle and asked him if he thought the, like targets and the dates sounded reasonable, and he said, yeah, he thought they did. So then before I sent it to the state, I called Penniman and said, you know, our target for contract engineer to write back, deliver the RFP and place the bid notice it was 210. And I said, that would say that you're going to have your report here for Monday, today, February 2nd, to deliver it. And she says, well, we're waiting to hear if we got the job. And then he started going into lowering the contract amount, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, he never got the signed agreement. I scanned it, emailed it to him, and he said, yeah, everything was fine. He can have it here for next management meeting. So and they still fit in with the scope, the way we talked about it. I'm trying to find where that is on this report. It's up part A on page 2. Those are the dates, the actual milestones and the target dates. So he's going to have that here for us next month. John, what I talked to there.
All right. Well, we'll go to capital improvements. Parking lot resurfacing for the administration building. Are we ready to move forward and get bids on this? We put it off last month because we didn't have enough people. It's in the budget as capital improvement, it's just a matter of need to...
What's your proposed dates for budgets and when they start working, things like that?
We really haven't discussed it because this is the first meeting we've had where we've had a quorum. So
we need specs for, this parking lot. It said sidewalk / parking lot. Is there sidewalk work to be done? So we're just talking about the resurfacing.
where are you seeing sidewalks? Budget.
I'm looking at capital.
That might have been for
that was from last year.
the ramp.
I think I can't remember for that was they put 12,000 for the sidewalk.
So it looks like it's 28,000 is what we've got. So I guess we could just hire someone, or we can put it out for bid.
I would,
28,000.
I mean,
I'm not opposed to putting it out
I
for
would
bid.
I would prefer to put it out for bids. We don't have to because it's a low enough amount, but I think
Competitive
yeah.
pricing.
it's always better to put it out for a bid.
So who's got the specs?
It would probably be the same specs basically as for the scale. So we could probably get a hold of those and use that for the bid.
I'll make the motion to, got the specs together for the resurfacing of the administrative center parking lot, have them published and look at them in the March meeting.
Look at the specs or look at the bid?
Bid.
Okay.
To have the bids here for the March meeting, which means it's going to have to get done.
Second.
Okay, we need a roll call vote on that to suspend the rules.
Crow? Yes. Sure.
Yes.
Alt?
No.
Hansberger?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
You know, I want to
any more?
I don't want to amend my motion necessarily, but do you think we need to put in there as set forth or as allowed for in the capital expenditures, capital improvement fund? Does anybody object to me adding that wording? So, can you put that in there somewhere? As set, you know, as allowed in the capital improvement fund?
Okay. Roof projects for the administrative building and jail.
Sir, could you come over here and talk a little louder?
We're holding down.
Yeah, we want to hear what you got to say.
I wouldn't have expected the jail. What you have is a nylon mesh that they just coated, laid right over the gravel. I have no idea who did it, why they did it that way. It really needs to be redone. You have it built up for underneath with concrete deck. So my assumption is they didn't know what to do with it because of the concrete deck, so that's why they did what they did. The whole thing needs to be redone. It's shot.
You talking taking off the concrete deck and everything?
No, not the deck. You have a
Just what's
a
on top.
nylon mesh with a coating, and then you have a asphalt roof with gravel underneath that. They just glide the nylon mesh over the gravel, so every time you walk on it, it just looks like it's So it just needs, both roofs need to come off, and my suggestion would be a rubber roof taper system. You have two drains on the roof, both drains probably need to be put on, because the old heads are, I don't think they're going to work very well. So two good drain heads would also
The rubber roof lasts how long?
20 years.
I thought we had a whole bunch of drains up there.
This is at the jail he's talking right now. We got both roofs that we got to discuss.
That's for that. This building here, you were talking about you wanted to replace the whole thing. My opinion is, I don't think you need to. The roof should last 27 years. I think I was told it's been on there 13 now. My suggestion is you have a section that's blown up, repair the section, because if you get into replacing the whole thing, right now I believe the state, you have to have 4 inches of insulation. It's a requirement of the state because you're state funded, correct? State funded.
Well, no, this would be out of our money.
So nothing here in this building gets anything from the state?
Not regarding that project.
Well, not that project, but if the building gets any money from the state, I'm not sure of all this, but I'm pretty sure you still have to have 4 inches of insulation, which I probably don't have on this one right now. So with that, in fact, the coping is going to have to all come off. You're going to have wood nailers to get the right height on the edges. But my suggestion is you fix the section that's blown up. You use the money to fix all the drains because they're all the wrong size. Again, I don't know who inspected it after it was done, but it's something that doesn't meet any requirements. They have a 1.5-inch drain running into a 4-inch cast iron. So.
Okay, so the cast iron pipe is big enough, it's just that the heads are too small.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, how much of the roof needs to be done?
There's about 20 square. It's not a huge section that's blown off. There's a section over here on this side on the wall. I haven't cut into it. I happen to be up on the roof when they put the new air conditioning unit up there. Because we had to flash in the power lines that were coming through. That's when I looked at the roof. The roof is not in that bad a condition. You might have a few repairs here and there, but I don't think you have any issues that you can't maintain the roof to get at least another 5 to 8 years out of it.
If we're only going to get, well, if we're going to get 5 to 8 years out of the roof, the part that we patch, then is it going to be able to be kept when the rest is done?
I mean, there would be no sense, because when you end up doing everything else, you're gonna have to add, like I said, additional insulation. You pull the rubber off the top, you peel the backer off the insulation, and there's no way to seal through it anyway. But money-wise, as you're talking, I think there's 350,000 square feet here, is that what? I believe so. You're looking at around $800-900 a square to replace it. So you're looking at 300, if that's the correct number.
34,000 square feet is what we were given as a amount. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Times 800?
Divided 34 by 100, and that would give you the exact square for the roof, which is where it takes much of by square. Which should be 240. At $800 to $900 a square foot. Removal and install.
We're gonna need more in our capital improvement fund.
Well, that's what I'm saying right now is, what's up there, it's not in bad shape. You replace the 20-some square that need to be replaced, put the money in the drain, have the correct drains put in now, 5 to 8 years down the road, continue to the roof, you can have it up to your roof, we'll go from there.
What would it cost of just that repairs be?
I would have to get a hold of a plumber to get their bid on
I think that's what we should do, and that's why maybe we need to fall under the capital improvement, and it's repairs.
That's probably, I guess, 12, 15 drains up there. And you're probably looking at $1,200 to $1,500 a drain.
What we may end up having to do is, if we decide to patch the roof, replace the drains in that area and see how much money we got, and then if we have to, we can do the others later.
So we have 18,000 in drains.
I mean, that's just an estimate. I'm not sure what the plumber's estimate would come in at. But for us to come back and patch it in, it's about $400 to $500 for each drain. Patch it, because it's going to have to be all cut out, a section of it put back in.
So that's 18,000 plus.
No, that's what I was estimating what the plumber's is going to be with ours.
In really, really round numbers, to patch that roof and just repair it.
If that's the blown out.
Yeah, what you're talking about, just to repair, not to replace. Just in really round numbers without being held to it.
Will have to be, that section will have to be.
Okay.
Which is still going to be about $800 to $900 a square foot. And there's approximately 20-some square, around under 20,000, 19,000.
For the whole job?
For the roof replacement, not the drain.
Okay. So if we're 18,000 plus 20,000, if we're looking at 38,000
Approximately.
to repair the roof, everything.
Correct.
Now, they had put some metal strips up there to hold
I think Rod come and got some from me. I'm not sure.
Now, is that something that's going to help extend the life, or is
It's all going to have to come up.
so they just put that in that spot?
Actually, they, it looks like to me that there's a ton of bricks up there, and they're using right now to weight it down. They might have come by and I didn't see where they had attached any of the strips of the bar.
I haven't been up
I
there.
don't know if they changed their mind and they just went and put bricks on it to hold it down.
There's strips that be 18 inches or 24 inches, that's what requires something like
On the
and we added, I had a problem, we were 18 or 24 inches away from the edge, and you got a high wind that space there, we added more bars closer to the edge. So there's, like every 18 inches, there's bars.
Okay. They would all just come up, and then the insulation would just be fastened down correctly. The termination on the wall, I think, is probably the reason it blew up. More likely what they did, they glued it. The wall has a rush strip termination that gets screwed into the wall. Has bonded sealant for the rubber in that against the wall to keep it from pulling away or blowing up. And I'm just going by my past experience, more likely to use glue instead of primer. And over time, the glue just separates from it. And eventually you get a little wind, a little more wind, a little more wind. And it just blew off.
Is the rest of the edge need something addressed then?
I didn't look at the whole entire roof. But where I walked up along the edge over here and where I was at the unit, everything was fine. I mean, the way they put the roof on, they did a very good job. They just didn't do a very good job for the trade.
Anybody got any more questions for him?
So overall, up here, what are we talking about in dollars up here?
This would be the 20 square that you figured up.
I think with that in the drain, it's going to be about 40.
And there's no way until you get into it to exactly how much is going to have to come up, right?
Yeah, we should be able to tell.
I guess, do we bid it as a project or do we bid it as a per square?
Well, I would do it as a project. I mean, you can go up there and see where the rubber has separated and where it hasn't separated. And where it hasn't separated is where you're going to stop, make a cut, and that's where you're going to pull the insulation up, put new insulation down, and new rubber down over the top, and you're just going to seal from the old rubber. So doing that, any of the rest of the roof is still going to be fine. There's not going to be an issue with that. You just have to go far enough to where you have all the long enough rubber taken care of.
What's going to keep the new rubber from blowing up too?
The correct termination on the edge. The way the rubber was terminated along the edge, the rubber goes into the corner of the wall. They make a termination strip, which is attached to the wall, which comes down and has a piece of tape to get primed and stuck to the rubber. Okay? Well, when they were gluing it, I haven't cut in, but more than likely, they just used bonding adhesive, and that's what they used to stick the rubber down to the fiberglass backing on the edge. Well, that doesn't bond together with the tape piece along the wall. If they use the bonding adhesive, it has to be a primer. So over time, all it does is work its way apart, and then starts getting a little air gap, you get a little wind, it blows a little more, starts taking more and more and more.
Aren't those common problems associated with a rubber roof no matter what you do?
Not if they're done correctly. If they're done correctly, there should be no issue.
Well, I sure run into seeing an awful lot of problems.
I've been doing rubber roofs for 24 years. If they're put on correctly, they last a long time. I've seen one last 33 years over in Streeter on those air switches. You do proper maintenance, if it's installed correctly, you will get a long life out of the product.
Why do you think the roof on the other part of the building is only going to last 5 to 8 years? What's going to cause that to get to that point where it's...
On the rest of the roof?
Yes.
Well, I'm just going by 20-year average. I mean,
What happens to the rubber that causes that to be replaced?
there's a breakdown on carbon in the rubber.
Ultraviolet ready?
The UV breaks it down.
So there's no ultraviolet protection factored into that when it's made?
When it's made, that I couldn't tell you. I know just over time what is the cold, the heat shrinks and expands all the time, okay? Well, the UV starts breaking the rubber down a little more every single year. But just because it's breaking it down doesn't mean the rubber's bad. I mean, it doesn't mean you need a new roof yet. You don't need a new roof to come into issues. Issues with seams, boxes, When you start having problems of that popping up. And if there's really no maintenance up there, there's nobody on the roof, there really shouldn't be any issues. You know, you get issues with having no fence to the maintenance, or whoever works on, say, units up there, they take doors off, they have a tendency, they don't really pay attention, set the corners down, pop holes in the roof.
I'm
Stuff like
more
that.
concerned about the ultraviolet rays, degradation and that sort of stuff.
But you have that in every product. It doesn't matter what product you have. I mean, you can take a PVC roof, Duralast makes a very fine PVC roof, and they only warranty it for 15 years. Their roof, about 13 years, 14 years, if you get any hail damage, you end up with issues, different cracks all over. You know, their warranty still takes care of it, but they take care of it by, they come in, they don't caulk a crack until they get to their 15 years, and they're done. But it all depends on who's putting it on, who you trust, and the warranty that backs it, I guess, if that's what you like. I mean, my opinion is, it doesn't matter what product you use, they're going to charge you for your warranty. And it's as good as soon as ever back in the warranty.
I'm not concerned about that part of it. I'm concerned about the products themselves. How do you know when it's, you know, you're saying the ultraviolet ray degradation will get to the point where there'll be cracks in the rubber?
No.
That's what you're saying?
No. It breaks down the rubber. It doesn't, the rubber doesn't crack.
How do you know when it's broken down to the point that it's no longer surfacing?
When you start having leaks in the roof. I mean,
Like
it breaks down.
cracks.
No.
Okay.
Well, like I said, walking on it, walking on the roof, you'll have maybe problems with where the laps are in the system. Might break down. That's why they only warranty them for 20 years. They do that for a reason because they've been in business for a long time. And
I'm not trying to put you through the third degree.
No, I
I
understand that, but I'm-
if we're gonna repair the roof up there and also go with the idea, you know, saying it's gonna be for 5 to 8 years, I'd like to know how we know when we're at that point. I'd like to know if we can go beyond 8 years, or are we possibly gonna be less than 5 years?
I don't think you're going to be less than 5 years.
If that's your opinion. I'm trying to find out how we can be more factual about it. I'm not discrediting your opinion, don't misunderstand me, but I think from our standpoint, we try and be as factual as we can to make the best decision that we can. We need to get some idea of how long that roof that's up there right now is going to last.
That's why I'm saying 5 to 8. I'm not saying it can't last longer. I'm giving you what I think it should last, 5 to 8 more years, the rest of the roof.
That's going by industry standards, by the manufacturer,
Yes.
averages.
You know, that, you have one that lasted 40 years and one that lasted 10 years, you can average it out somewhere and say that's what it should be. Well, that's not helping us either.
They wouldn't warranty something for 20 years if they don't think it's going to last for 20 years.
I understand that part.
And how much traffic is on the roof is going
Right.
to definitely
I mean,
determine.
you have a lot
I'm concerned about the roof that we have right here. You know, I'm not concerned about the industry averages or how long the warranty is. I'm not concerned about what's our roof like here. How long is our roof going to last if we do repairs like you're suggesting? That's what I want to know.
5 to 8 years.
Are there different grades of rubber?
Yes, there are. There's a 45 mil and there's a 60 mil. I'm assuming this is 60.
The 60 lasts longer than the 40?
Yes. Because usually 60 is commercial grade. Not hardly anybody uses 45 mil. Maybe some, like Menards, if you want to go to Menards, you can get some. Residential might use a little bit of it.
Well, the part you replace, and then 5 to 8 years down the road, the rest of it goes bad. You tear the part off, you replace 2, or can we leave that?
I think you're going to end up tearing it off.
Tear it off.
There wouldn't be a reason to leave it. You're going to have to increase the insulation on there anyways, which is is gonna raise the level of the roof. You're gonna end up taking it all off.
Because of the money issue and everything else, wouldn't it be feasible to ask, we got a high side and low side. Why don't we just replace all the low sides? We don't have to worry about replacing all of it again in 8 years. And then, 8 to 10 years, we worry about the high side. And that way, the low side is done. We're good for 20 years. Let's put this much money and they rip it off in 8 to 10 years. Do the low side now, in 8 to 10 years, we'll do the high side.
But here's what I'm trying to get at, just to save the most money for you possible. All right? Look at the amount you're spending, and look at the amount that it's going to cost just for the repair. If it gets you 8 years, the difference in replacing the whole thing on what it's going to cost you, I mean, even if you do this section, on what it's going to cost you compared to what you're going to pay for the repair. I mean, it's probably a third, maybe a quarter of the price difference. And if it's going to get you possibly 50% of a new roof, that's where I would, me personally, that's where I would be spending my money.
Yeah, but 8 to 10 years, what is the labor cost? What's the material? I mean, it's all going to cost more in 8 to 10 years.
Correct.
So we might as well do now, and we're good for 20 years. That's my point, Robert.
Right.
I see what you're saying, but, putting a repair up there, and then 8 years, tear it off, and that just don't make any sense.
Well, and it's possible that you might get more out of it. I'm just figuring 8 years.
Could be 15 years, I mean, they just depend. Eventually, it's going to be before.
Right, correct.
So if you just put all the new up there, and we're good for 20 years. And we can do the high side later.
But the money that's been drained, that won't have to be done by 5 years.
No.
So your sunk cost on repair, only portion of that relates to the roof.
Correct.
The drain portion that you talk about, that $20,000 is an investment that will last. So your sunk cost on the repair is about the $8,000. So $8,000 is 8 years. Theoretically 8. Not 38,000. Just to be clear.
Because you're gonna, no matter, even if you redo the whole section, that cost for the drain, the $900 is covering the replacement of the, not the drain. The drain is still gonna be an additional cost with the replacement, because they're gonna have to be fixed.
Is, how much square footage difference is there between the upper and lower roof? Do you know? Is it about
You go to the boiler room, this way is the low room. From the boiler room that way, we're the high room. So I'm going to say, third. This is the third? No, this is
the upper would be a third?
Well, I think USA is a little bigger than third. 5/8. But this is going to be the majority of the chunk of the world side.
All right. Now we gotta decide what we wanna do.
Do you have a card? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit deep this morning. Thank you.
Anybody else like?
Anybody else, any questions, otherwise?
I like his idea of doing the low side and doing the high side later, I think, and retaining the low side when you do the high side, right? Is that what he said?
That's what Mr. Paper said, to redo the whole, to do the whole.
That way you don't tear off the whole thing again when you have to redo it.
Yeah.
Does anybody want any more information from Mr. Gray?
I'm sure he's got other things to do.
We'll just have to chew it up, I guess.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
When we talked about last month, for the different types of rubber, he's advocating rubber.
Well,
Where
right.
we at with this other like?
They were gonna come, but they had, they couldn't make it because the guy that was gonna come had to.
We got one issue of how much and where, what we're gonna do, but also what kind of material we want, what kind of system.
Well,
I'm not real excited about him talking about ultraviolet ray degradation.
No.
My understanding, they can put more ultraviolet ray inhibitors in there to give it a longer life than what he's talking. I haven't researched it.
if he's accurate with his estimates, we don't have the money to do the whole work.
No.
And that's what it comes down to.
So he can do the repair of what we can.
Him or, we'll put it out for a bid. He just,
Seems to me that's what we have to do.
right. He just offered to come in and, since he had been up there, he offered to come in and tell us what he saw.
As I see it, we need to make the repair, regardless of what the total long-term value is. We're gonna face that whatever it is anyway someday. We don't have to face it now, and by chances are, but just a repair now, is long better. Yeah, prices are gonna be higher in the future, money's gonna be worth less, so that usually goes in. That's a given.
If we're about, if our upper and lower roofs are divided 3/5, 2/3, whatever, we got 35,000 square feet. How much would the lower roof be? How many square feet? So
You said
figure,
divide by 100.
figure 2,200 square feet.
But didn't he say something about divide by 100?
That just gives you square.
Squares,
Yeah.
so that's your yard.
So you'd be,
What do you want me to put in here?
well, if you're at 22 squares,
22,
at $900 a square,
220 squares or 22?
22 square,
22.
100 square foot is a square.
Okay.
So at 2,200 square feet, that would be 20 squares. And he said it was about
900.
8 to 900, he said we'll figure high
Let's go
900.
900, yeah. So
What was the
we're,
other material that was gonna be brought here to us to look at?
it's,
This
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
It's not rubber?
No, that's spray foam.
Spray.
so we're at 19.8, so let's just say 20,000 for,
Is that right?
22
That doesn't sound
times
right.
900.
That doesn't sound right somehow. Because if it was gonna be 300,000 to do the whole thing, we're probably looking at 200,000 to do the bottom part.
Well, I think, I think because he said 340. Oh, here, look.
Well, you had 250, you could do the bottom part,
He just said
take care of the
340.
drain, and the high part. Still have what?
No, we have 150 budgeted.
No, we've got 250.
250 it is?
Yeah, 250.
Okay. Oh, yep, I'm sorry, I was thinking wrong.
See, I think it's in our figure in our squares, because he told me 340. He said 3,400 divided by 100. So,
Okay, $900 a square.
see that?
There was 35,500 square feet approximately is what the last specs was. So that'd be 34 and a half squares. And if it was on the high side, 1,000, that'd be 34,000.
The idea of doing the lower part probably has a lot of merit, but I still think we need to decide what material we're going to use. Who knows, this could be cheaper and last longer, it could not be, we don't know. But I think we owe it to the county to find out
Right.
before we make a decision.
And I guess well, we have, if we patch what's there, then you're going back with roof. If we're gonna do the whole roof, then our options are wide open.
Well, I want to hear what this guy has to say too.
Yeah.
I think we all do, but if we put it out for bid, is this going to have us bid apples to oranges, two different products? Well, that's okay. You can bid two different products. I still think the clock's ticking.
Yeah, I mean, we're already,
If we don't hear from him till March, be April till we get the bids opened, and I don't know.
and I think it was, ended up just, I think because of the weather, somebody couldn't come in, so he had to cover for him, and that's why he didn't make it today.
If time is a factor on our part, we could have a special meeting.
We could, or if anybody wants to talk to him, you know,
I think having a meeting where, because if we're gonna
Right.
have some kind of decision made, we need to have everybody.
Oh, that's fine. But I think we need to come to a consensus today about, A, what do we want to do about the jail roof, and B, what do we want to do with this roof? I think we need to decide, are we going to do part, are we going to do all, are we going to patch, are we going to replace? What do we want to do? I
the
think.
jail roof has to be totally done.
I don't think there's any question about that, but you got this same issue
Right.
again. What material are you gonna put
Right.
these over there?
And that,
We get too many questions.
and
But I mean, it boils down, I think it boils down to which material is gonna serve the best on the roof itself.
Well, to repair, we know has to get certain material.
If we're gonna repair, but right now, we're focusing on maybe doing the whole lower roof. So there's no repair.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a decision for you here from this guy.
Let's schedule a meeting. Come in here. It's okay with you?
when do you want to have a meeting?
Doesn't matter to me, I mean, when can a guy come?
Chairman's prerogative.
You know what? Wait a minute.
Anytime I can, show me this service.
You're at judicial, I'm at judicial, you're at judicial. Larry,
That's Wednesday, that's not enough time to,
but I'm saying is maybe we could meet before judicial or
no,
after.
because it's a public meeting. We
Oh,
have
to
have-
post it,
Now, if we wanted to do something before or after policy and procedure,
I can't be, I could be here maybe after that, Thursday morning,
I could stay Thursday afternoon.
Thursday
morning is
4 o'clock
fine.
meeting.
Right.
Everybody be here for policy and procedure or finance, TNT. Is there anything after TNT? Well, he says he's dead in the water in the morning, so I was thinking early afternoon.
Friday morning might work, most of us are here for zoning or highway, we could do something after those are.
Yeah, I'm here for highway, you're here for zoning, highway, you're not here.
no, but if I have to be,
You should be. So say, let me see, highway's usually over by 10:30.
Those zoning, they're usually done about.
So we could say, probably 11 o'clock Friday morning.
I mean, you gotta find out when the guy can come first.
Well, we want to have some options to give this guy too, so see if he can be here at 11 o'clock. Anita, repeat what you said about the drain being an investment, I understand. We were talking about in the instance that we repair the roof, so we would not have to do the drain.
Rather than thinking of 38 per hour after, say you were from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not
See what it says.
it's only the 8
Because there's, our building up in Cabry, and they...
You know anything how old this product is?
Well, they've had it on their roof for at least 15 years.
Well, I got a here on the jail.
It's pretty durable, and what you do is you recoat with the UV inhibitor.
Yeah, it looks to me like a very good product. That's
So we can-
really good. Yeah.
Larry, isn't the age of that roof actually 23 years, not 13?
No, I think it's more like 15.
Oh, I thought we talked about that at the time we
This
had...
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When, I think when I had that language.
Hello?
It's 15.
Oh, see, I had 23 stuck in my head because didn't it have a 25-year warranty, and we specifically asked them if putting on the band would affect the warranty at all.
Firestone recommended the band,
Okay.
and then we added band close to the edge, yes.
But somebody brought up the issue, and anyway, it's okay, so we're at 15, okay, which is not very long.
Yeah, it's one of their, to be all that as soon as possible. I appreciate it, thanks. All right, we'll see if he gets the message.
And if he calls back, why don't we put that all on hold until we hear from him? Maybe he'll call during the rest of the meeting.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Okay,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
so we're just gonna wait on roofs until we find out more information. Generator for the jail. We have the pricing that Larry got for us. Anybody want to look at it?
What was the total of all of the elements about?
28.
Because I'm looking, we had 32.
Well, I didn't give it a minute yet. You know, I don't know the way the generator needs footing. I didn't have the generator to tell somebody, I don't figure it out, so something rough.
More copies.
So we've only got 4,000 to play with there for cement, right?
Well, that and to remove the old pieces, I think. Gonna have to do that. I don't think it's gonna be all, I think 10 bucks the piece will allow out, and hopefully we'll have there. The old generator stays down there, the battery, the amp up. The generator stays down there like the old boiler. I think we need to get rid of that tank, for sure.
Now, rather than later.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Well, and not only that, the time wears on.
So it should
It's
be
more critical.
pretty close to 33,000. You know, we're gonna put that out there.
I know that was a joke, it went right over my head.
And that's just going to give us some idea. I mean, I assume we're going to put it out for bid, even though at this point it's below what we need to, but
No. It's gonna be like 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know. You can.
That'll total.
So when you add it up,
Including
yeah.
removing the existing one, it's gonna put you over 30.
yeah, so.
Let's put it out for bid. Want a motion to put it out for bid?
I would entertain one.
Well, we're gonna have to make sure that these people aren't already bid on it. I was told we did.
Well, we just will not make that public. Um,
What do we do?
Why couldn't they just resubmit their same bid with everybody else's?
Well, everybody knows that.
Oh, they told the bid amount, okay.
Any suggestions?
Well, it's gotta be put out for bid. I mean, you know, it's gotta be put out for bid. Sometimes we step on our own.
These numbers,
What do you
first one
think?
says it's estimated, or the guess.
Well,
The others don't say their estimated prices, but it seems to me that to get a price like that, to get some idea of the cost of the project, can't see why you still can't go out for bid. That number, resubmit the same number, different number, whatever they want to do. I gotta have numbers like that in order to put together a budget, really. That's common practice.
well, I think what Larry would like is for us not to, you know, make these people mad
Right.
by handling it this way. So it needs to be handled diplomatically, and maybe...
And I don't know that there's anybody else that can make a bid on that generator. There's only so many people that can deal with one that bid.
You won't know that until you put out bids.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta put out bids, I mean, there's no one, if you knew there was no one. That's what you cover yourself with, saying you will no other bids.
I kind of like the situation where, would we put it out that someone would act as a contractor and they would submit a bid that would include the generator, the cement work,
An all-inclusive bid.
an all-inclusive, yes. That's kind of what I like. Bring us the bottom line.
And by doing that, then what they bid here, you know, that's three separate people. If somebody gets an all-inclusive, it's not necessarily going to be those three prices. But if somebody's from out of the area, they may not have people that they can bring in either.
And would it be inappropriate for Larry to contact these people and say the committee met, the amount of the money is we're very grateful for your information. Oh, he's just about to roll over back there. No, we're putting you in a position to represent the county to say, we would like for you to resubmit the bid in this format, please, and thank you very much.
What format?
Where they would bid all of the elements of the project together, where they would sort of act as the contractor, and they would get all of their people, so we're not dealing with 4 different elements, where they put the project together. Does that make any sense?
There's, you know, 5 different...
Well, 4, 5, 8, 12, whatever.
Never know better, as long as it's all together.
I got 5 here, I don't know how many you got.
Well, whatever it is. Okay.
Well, I mean, would you buy a generator and make sure it's delivered, make sure it's handling for zero amount of money?
No?
That's what you're asking the contractors to do. We already got a price of $20,000 some odd dollars. So, I mean, I'm gonna...
Well, it would...
I don't follow that.
She wants the bid resubmitted, so they could up it or whatever, or lower it
Right.
with, I'm sure it would be up with, if they got the gas piping and the electrical all inclusive.
And did the whole project. I'm not asking them to do it for zero. To put the project together, they're going to include that in their price. They're going to
Basically,
deal
she
with
wants
their
them to get all the contractors
subcontractors.
together instead of
I
us.
understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, we're not gonna do nothing, so instead of buying a generator for $20,000, we're buying it for $22, because it's gonna take different.
I see.
We're at the $32,000 mark with me doing it.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna have contractors do all this, the price is gonna go up, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're gonna get their piece of the pie.
Well, general contractor always gets a percentage.
Subcontractors often give a lower price to the general than they would directly either because their sales expense and other pieces are limited. So it's not always something that costs us more money.
I always like to have somebody in the hole to be responsible. I always like to have you say, hey, you, not us, not
I
us.
understand the situation about the 30,000, got to do this, okay? But maybe we need to talk to Jim Devine. This is what's gonna be the total price. We got a generator, we got 4 or 5 different entities going here. You know, we got a gas line, we got electrical, we got the generator, cement work, all different.
Didn't we run into that with something else, and it's an all-inclusive price?
That's what they were, the way law we answered Jim, is project in total.
So you're gonna bid on it?
Well, I guess I need a motion of some kind.
They made a motion to put it out for bids.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded.
How are we gonna put it out for bid then?
30 days.
Do we?
No, that's not what I meant.
Do we want it bid as individual projects or as a whole project?
The whole thing, turnkey project.
In the past, we put some out like that for the whole project and gave them the option to bid on individual ones if they so wished. Did we not?
Oh, that's good.
Trying to remember which project it was.
There was some project like
Something
that.
like that we did not too long ago.
How is this?
Wasn't that, that's a, I don't think.
Well, that works if you get somebody that bids each individual thing, you can add them up and compare it to a total. But if you get somebody that doesn't bid each individual thing, then you can't. So we can try it. I don't know if we'll get what we
Apples to
need to
apples.
compare.
Same cement and maybe in 2 different bids for what? Even if it's a different amount, we're looking for the bottom line of the whole thing.
We want a price for the generator, the electric, the gas line, the concrete, and removing the existing generator. We want that all in the same.
Removing the existing generator wasn't part of it,
Okay.
the tank,
Okay.
diesel tank.
Right.
Well, we could ask them to bid it 2 ways. We could ask them to bid
Bid
it
of one.
piece in elements, and then as a total. What do contractors think of that cost?
Depends on the contractor.
Well, I don't think a motion.
What was your motion? Was your motion for the whole project or for?
Turnkey.
Right.
Yours was turnkey.
Turnkey deal.
Okay, and you seconded turnkey.
I mean, if you want to amend it to include giving them an option to bid on individual things, I guess I could go for that. I think we did that with that, but did we do that with that?
How did that work out when the bids came in comparing things?
It worked out fine because for FSA, because everyone did a separate thing. So all we did is check it, just to write on there. We had a contractor that was Martin, who did the construction and then the management process. We had flooring, we had painting. All the IT, the moving of all the wiring, IT. So we had 4 lines, and they could fill in one or all.
Well, that's kind of what I was, is that, you can bid the complete package or you can bid an element individually?
And no one bid the whole thing, they all did their piece. That's the way it came in. It was just an odd group of activities, so.
Well, this is sort of an odd group.
Right.
Yeah, but one's based on another.
One what is based on another what?
Well, if the gas line isn't sized right,
It's
it's
not
not going to
there,
be
right?
for the generator.
It's not there on time,
That's not gonna work.
screw that.
Larry said he's not sure how big a concrete pad should be, so,
Concrete is strong enough, and if they cracks or caves in there for a year or so, again, you got contractors pointing fingers at them. It's a turnkey job, it's a responsibility from one person left to get all those things pulled together, make sure it works. And that's what we want. You got some factors there, you got different responsibilities that people have. And I'm sure they're gonna meet them okay, I would hope that they would. We didn't have any problems with this generator out here like that.
now, was that one a turnkey or was that individual?
Rob, just a minute, and Brian is electrical, there's no bids.
Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor to bid it as a turnkey project, and we have a second.
Call the roll.
Okay. Crow?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Hasbargen?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes. Okay, water lines at the jail. This lady has submitted a bid. Well, is it a bid or it's a scope of work? Scope of work, okay. So we have a scope of work. Anybody want to see this? And that's generally what they're going to be replacing, Larry.
Basically, like gate valves, ball valves, the water shut off, all these gate valves are leaking, takes a while to shut the water off. Just letting out the supply, takes time, so replace all of them. Replace my pipe, hopefully, with part copper or saw. Getting rid of the asbestos so we can actually work on it, things like that.
They said you gotta find out first if it is asbestos.
Yeah.
And that's, so we use the same testing company that we use?
I called M&O, he's supposed to come sometime this week.
What we do when we going out for bids, we ought to know that, because that's got to be part of the bid.
Okay. So we want to table this until the next meeting then, or?
Don't do the test or get it tested.
Huh?
What am I doing, getting it tested or not getting it tested?
I think we
You
should.
need to get it tested, but we're not going to put it out for bids until we know,
For the
for the actual work. So get the asbestos tested so that we know when we put it out for a bid or whatever, that can be included as to whether they have to remove the asbestos or not. Which we're assuming they will, but
I have a motion to put it out for bid, subject to his test. We wouldn't have to wait a whole month.
Well, sometimes I think we get carried away with the bid price. I'd like to know the cost of the removal, if it is. I think we should table it for 30 days.
I don't know what was just said.
I think we should table it for 30 days.
On what basis I'm on.
Until we find out about the asbestos, and then we can make a decision. If you look at the total amount at the bottom, I think we need to consider whether this is something we actually want to put out for bid or not, or if we want to select someone to do the work. I think we need more information and further discussion. And I'm specifically not mentioning the amount on that page for exactly the reason in the last in the last discussion. So if you want to read the amount, read the paper.
Okay, so.
Still can't follow your logic.
Well, that's
Larry
not my
needs to know-
problem.
Larry needs to know.
No, it isn't.
Larry needs to know what he's supposed to do at this point. So, he's going to get the asbestos tested, is that the consensus?
Needs to be tested.
Is that something that's spending money, do we have to vote? I would assume.
Roughly what it costs to do something like that.
It wasn't that much last time, was it? It will be in the hundreds, not the thousands.
Somebody make a motion authorizing him to do that.
I move that we instruct Larry to contact the same party that we had test the asbestos before, to have the asbestos in the jail, to test for asbestos in the jail in connection with the water line project.
Second.
Spending money, roll call vote, right?
Crow? Yes, sure.
Yes.
All?
No.
Hasbargen?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
If we have these results back before we have this special meeting on the roof, would that be, you'll include that then in that meeting, on that agenda?
When were they gonna be here, Larry? They won't have the results back by Friday if we have this meeting Friday.
I'm saying if for some reason our meeting was a week or 2 weeks from now, because we don't know, but I'm just wanting to know.
We can put it on an agenda, and if we don't have anything, then we won't discuss it.
Right. I'm just saying, if we have the results, when we have the next special meeting.
And that's one
We'll
will
put it on the agenda for that, or if we're gonna wait till March. I think is there a couple things on that scope that need to be talked about too?
On this,
Yeah. It says on the back, the price doesn't include a dumpster, it doesn't include pipe insulation, it doesn't include asbestos.
well, this was a scope of work, so
That's actually plumbing.
this is the actual plumbing, not disposal of anything.
What's our code as far as the piping goes? Does it have to be copper or should it be PVC?
Yeah, you need
Have
durability.
copper in the jail where the inmates are?
Well, that would be a call for the sheriff, but I'm sure copper would be more durable.
Why?
Because if you whack a copper pipe, you might bend it a little, but if you whack a plastic pipe, you're gonna shatter it.
Well, I'm saying where the inmates are, I understand that the copper would be better.
Is this work going to be done in the cells?
No, no, Chase,
In the cases?
but,
That- I don't know what the code is, but I think for, I think for durability, the copper is probably a better way to go. And probably, when I've priced stuff, there's not that much difference between copper and plastic by the time you get done with the total job. You would think there'd be a big difference, but there's not. Because plastic is a petroleum product, and so as the price goes up and down with petroleum, it gets to be just as expensive.
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
I'm sure you consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I price jobs both ways, and it's surprising how close in price they are when you get done. And for the durability, you're probably better off just sticking with copper on it then.
You know, I mean, if you want to debate, I mean, like you said about whacking a pipe, I'm sure you could fracture a PVC pipe that way, but I'll probably break the joint on the copper too.
Yeah.
Not solid, but
All right, so we are, with the water lines, we're Okay. Snow removal. There was an issue at the last board meeting that was brought up as to whether or not there was a good job done on the snow removal. So, anybody got any thoughts?
I just don't think the job's adequate. I went by the courthouse this morning, we got the same situation on the front steps. I realized this was a heavier snow coming in on the south side, and still, and I had a lot of cement cleaned off at my house today. I still think a better job could be done with scoop shovel and a broom. It was melting, I didn't see any icy spots, but I think next year when it comes up for bid, I think we really need to discuss seriously whether we want to bring that back in-house or if we want to bid it out. When is that bid up, Anita, do you know, or that contract expire?
Yeah.
Is that a 3-year?
No.
What'd you
think? And it's November, starts November. So it's a year.
So we'll probably start looking at that June, July, something like that.
Okay.
I think it should be discussed thoroughly at that point. Although I don't want to forget, and I did take some pictures, I'll keep those, and I can take some more pictures, and I think it needs to be thoroughly discussed at that time.
Anybody else got any?
What was at the courthouse on the back side, on the east side this morning, Larry? Do you have any input?
The sidewalk was up.
Packed? How about other sidewalks here, Clyde?
They cleaned this morning. They were pretty decent.
Did you have to go out and do cleanup work from time to time, finishing work?
I did not this morning. That one we had, I don't know, we could sure it's all going all out. I think it was on January, they show up.
Those are the things we have to remember. They didn't show up at all on the 12th. How about you, Larry? I'm sorry, Clyde, I didn't hear you. On the 12th, you had to plow?
Put the plow out, and I plowed before I was in jail, and Kyle came over and said that he did the part here, did that too.
These are things we don't want to forget.
Well, and I'm assuming there's a bill in here for,
There is. And I see we also had in the claim, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, I realize it might be necessary. I see that we had a claim for, wasn't there some salt or something on ice melter from Big R?
that's because you guys had to go get it because they didn't put it in.
And it's okay, but it means you had to do it, they didn't.
Well, there are times when we just don't follow.
Some extra.
Those guys were here,
I know, sometimes though with the shovel, what I'm experiencing is if you just get out the push broom, you've got clean cement as opposed to some packed stuff. That's just my experience. I'm really... So Larry, what were you going to say? You had to plow on the 12th. Kyle come and got you. So how about, and they're packed today?
I got barrel backward out, I keep full all the time. Basically like I got a barrel back jail. If we need salt, we go to the barrel and throw it out.
Right.
Make sure that the barrel is full of salt, because this is worse than my fourth year, and we always salt everything.
I understand that extra, but I mean, the overall, over at the courthouse, are you or Derek having to get one of the trustees out to do what I call finishing work?
Yeah, we gotta get
See, I just think that's unacceptable. I don't think it's in compliance with the contract at all. And it's certainly not what I expect. In public buildings, I think it's an incredible liability.
So, what are we thinking?
I think when we put the bid out the next time, we better give some thought to what standards of performance we expect. For example, one of the issues that I'm sure enters into the picture is such as we're experiencing today when there's drifting of snow. We cannot expect a snow removal contractor to be here 100% of the time, removing every grain of snow off the sidewalk as the wind blows in it. So at what point do we draw the line? What standards of performance do we expect that we need to be put into the bid package? Because right now it's not in there, and so you can't really hang anybody about that kind of thing being stated in the contract. So
Well,
we're stuck.
I agree with you, John, but what I'm seeing is not blown in. It was packed and it wasn't removed appropriately.
That's fine.
If you weren't specific enough with the last one, then
We don't have a standard of performance in the contract.
Well-
Our idea of what to be expected and his idea of what he expects to do can be two different things.
I think we need to discuss putting it back in-house versus bidding it out.
What does in-house mean? They do it all?
A blade on a truck with our two maintenance guys doing the work.
we have a blade and a tractor, correct? We have a loader tractor and a truck with a blade, right?
If the contract was up this year and we discussed it in June or July, I think these are things to be brought up at that time.
Okay. All right. Bid for heat pump in county clerk's office. We have the one that's not working. It's budgeted we have budgeted to replace some. Did they give any guesstimate as to how much it was going to cost to repair that?
No, we're pretty sure that they got it out running. If we wanted something else, whatever, they're ready, I'll call them back and go over there. Kyle was there that day, and we got to run, I got to get a bypass house, I've got that switch. He's going to back, there's more work on it. But I'm talking Kyle, like, wait, we're all going to.
Right. And I think I was in on that discussion too. We know it's old. Do we want to spend money repairing an old one that needs to be replaced anyway, or do we just get the bids to replace it?
We've got $45,000 set aside for a new heat pump.
Which we were thinking would do about 3 of them.
This is the largest.
This is our largest.
So we know what's the matter with it.
It has a bad switch, but in order to do that, you have to pull all the Freon out to replace it. By the time you get all the labor to do that, you know, you're spending.
Also, it has two cross thrusters, and it's only running on one, some reason, that second one's not keying in. So that'll have to be diagnosed too, why that second cross thruster's not running.
So we've either got a control problem or a compressor problem too. So we
How old
probably,
is it? You said it's old, how old is it?
they're all the age of the building. Well,
We've been replacing
yeah.
those all along. And there's $45,000 in the capital improvement fund for, it costs about $15,000 a piece.
this one might be a little more because it's bigger, but, yeah, I mean,
We just put these up.
yeah, we have.
Sounds like it'd be better to replace it than starting to have problems, just gonna keep putting money in. Good money after bad.
I mean, that's why we put the money in the budget for it. So,
We replaced 3 of them last year, I think, or the year before.
None in 1.43 and 1.34.
and that was on an emergency basis, that there was no money budgeted for it. So that's why this year we have money budgeted for it.
Anybody, can I make a motion, buy a new,
Make a motion, buy a new heat pump.
To take bids,
Replace it.
to get bids.
Yeah, to get bids, right.
I'll second that. For the clerk's office, the county clerk's office. We need to identify them, so when we go back and look in the minutes, we know we replaced this one and this one. I know you guys will. I know you can't. It's not important.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Hasbargen.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes. Housekeeping vacancy is pretty much covered in the report. You've got applications there we can take a look at. Does anybody have any other thoughts on buying a contract out or not buying a contract out, or see who we got available with the...
See if he's the best candidate, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, well, I guess...
He recommends that guy, seeing him work. Anybody else you get, you don't know how they work, you just go by the application. I kind of go along with him.
I do too. I think Kyle does, and I'm not speaking for him, but I had a conversation with Kyle, I think Lyle, but we need to go through the interview process anyway. Or can we just say, let's do it?
When were the applications all supposed to be in by?
Did you get any more since I looked at them last week?
Not this morning, the other one, other guys, this morning,
And
If the applications are due today, we should be able to make a decision next month.
well, actually, we don't need to make a decision. It's just whether you want to look at them and give input.
What about the manpower guys spending money to buy them out? Do we have to make a decision on that part of it?
As long as it's in the budgeted amount for the salary, I think that's in his budget, and so he would be responsible for taking care of that.
That's the case. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Right?
It'd just be if anybody wants to look and give him any input. I'm sure he's open to it. Okay, zoning office space. Kyle said we are responsible for taking care of that since it is in the building. He would like to see it left as a meeting room for right now and not rented out, because with negotiations with the unions, if we don't have that space, then we don't have two rooms for the different parties to go to separately, and it wouldn't be real kosher to just say, go talk in the hallway. It gives people a place privately to go talk. So for right now, his thinking was just leave that space for an extra meeting room.
Is it empty, or are the desks just left in there?
That's definitely not empty.
It's being used as storage.
Yeah.
No?
Auditors were using it.
Okay.
For privacy. I've got a couple of items I want to get out of the area. A couple, two file cabinets, one printer I decided I'm going to use, and then we got some, all the code books, all the different things that you have to go through them and, take what we need down in the office and box the rest up for the kitchen or whatever we have to decide. But that can be done sooner or quick as you need space. If you decide to get rent out, obviously you have to get on it right away. But as far as the desks are concerned, they are all either, I replaced a couple in my office and moved mine in the office down there, or left what was there. They're at your discretion, the full board, if they want, I don't need them anymore, whatever, that furniture I don't need, the file cabinets, the big file cabinets, the big mat drawer, I don't need. Fax machine if somebody wants it, there's a copy machine if somebody wants it, and there's a Epson printer if somebody wants it, there's an HP printer in there that I'm going to take down in the office yet, but equipment-wise, phones I don't need. There's old XP computers still in there, that we have to dispose of and get rid of all the ones we replaced in my office too, so.
Can anybody use that copying machine?
An oldie.
Yeah, it is an oldie. I'm not sure that one we check on. I don't know who's on that. We just replaced ours. We had one a little bit and then just got a new one. Fine, but it's not really big enough for any of the other fee offices.
I asked my staff if they wanted, we got an old one that they used for backup. I asked if they wanted, which one they wanted. I kind of plugged my minuses with both of them. So we're one way or the other, there's one copy machine that needs to be disposed of, one way or the other.
I was thinking, you might ask the sheriff because, clear back in '06 or '07, Arlene Hines got a new copying machine and she gave her old one to the sheriff. He just got a new one? Okay.
Their maintenance on it is kind of bad.
I know, I always say lease the copying machine.
That's what it costs.
Larry?
I've graduated with that.
Okay. Opposed? Yeah.
I'd suggest that we take all that equipment, along with the equipment that's over in the shed, find out if there's anybody here in the administrative center or the courthouse that can use any of it. If not, get the guy at River Recycling and haul it all away.
And none of that stuff has any
Unless
grants attached to it that we have to worry about?
And the only other option would be if there's any value in any of that we could have a surplus sale like we did last October. But it doesn't sound like that's the case. No, I don't think so either, but either way, we got two places we got stuff to get rid of, put them all in one deal.
Are you including the map drawers and things like that in it that he mentioned?
The electronics.
Just the electronic?
Whatever's in there that isn't needed, Bob knows what's needed.
So I mentioned the map.
Whatever is not needed,
Someone else would have to stay. But that, I don't see any reason why anybody would want that map drawer.
Just scrap it?
Scrap it, recycle it, actually get the money out of that.
Okay.
And big storage file.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need it.
Now-
make up a list of, if you make up an inventory of everything that's in the shed and out here and circulate it around, it gives people an opportunity to respond if they're interested in any of it or not, and then, I think that's the way to handle it.
And who would like to volunteer to make that list?
Well, I think
If I have to.
Bob or Debbie.
Well, I'd have to give Kyle to see what he wants to do for, if he wants to do the meeting, and what he wants to put it in there.
Well, yeah, I think we'd need a desk and a few chairs in there.
There are some there are more desks and at least 4 chairs. I mean, there were 4 auditors working.
Shorter meeting.
The table's open.
And if we set it up as a meeting room with the desk and that, it will get used? I mean, I have auditors that have used it.
Right. The auditors used it, which worked out really well. Like Tom mentioned, negotiation, have a place to separate the labor group and the union group, so.
And there was a time, too, where the VA ran into a situation where their person was coming, but their van was broke down, and they were giving flu shots, and it wasn't going to be a big deal, they didn't expect, but we couldn't find a cubby hole to put them in, and the health department had appointments and couldn't let them have a room in there. I don't know what, did they come in here? No, both ends of the board room. I don't know what they finally did. So, you know, that's another option. What?
You have to have it here, was there in the correct room?
What's it going to take to get that panic button disconnected?
Giving them communication, I suppose. They heard it from the council, and
Does each office have a panic button?
no.
Why do we have one in Growing?
We had an issue years ago. Our treasurer's got one, I believe.
Do you think you need it where you're at now?
Do I?
Yeah.
Haven't had any issues, obviously. The courthouse has got security. Do we need it here? I don't know what good it would be. I mean, girls have never expressed an interest in having one.
Okay. So we just need to get it disconnected so somebody in there doesn't go, what's this?
We're not, like, yeah, we
The
don't.
panic button was connected to what?
911 and sheriff's office.
I don't know.
Is 911, okay.
Well, can't we just put tape over it and say, do not?
Well, we have to get Goodman in anyway. Actually, what we ran into when the auditors were here, the network cables in there are bad. So first, all their computers went down, and you can tell it's like bent at the thing, like it's been broken, like somebody rolled their. So then I had to string cables back from Gloria's old office forward, put a switch in and a router, monkeyed around and got it working for him. So it was running back to Gloria's office. The one up by Debbie's that dropped, that cable doesn't work. Well, then that one quit working. So those cables in there are old and bad. So if Tim's going to come, we could have him run those two cables too. There's miscellaneous. I keep a miscellaneous list of stuff for him that should be fixed.
So is that something you can take care of calling him, or does somebody else
Sure.
need to?
I'm happy to.
Well, I don't know whose job that would be. If you say it's somebody else's job, I just need to know
It
who.
is. No, I can take care of it. I can call him.
Me
Me and Anita will get it worked out.
Does Clyde need to do it?
That's not my job.
Okay. Claims. Has everybody had a chance to go over the claims? We have a motion to approve.
I have a question. What's Zika sign, correct spelling of Ken Berrigree? Did somebody misspell, put up a sign, misspell, and they're charging us $48 to fix it?
Yeah, they have to take the old one down and replace it.
But isn't that their fault?
No, I gave him the wrong spelling.
Oh, okay. And what water heater problem? Where do we have a water heater problem?
Water heater problem was, again, that when we had that extremely cold weather and water turned out to be the right, because we have to have the other outside.
I see.
Any other questions? We got a motion on the floor. Need a second.
I guess I'll second. Nobody will.
Oh. Crow? Yes. Sure.
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Hessbarger?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes. Any old business?
Yeah, these two items, release the admin center and the jail. We need to read through these, and these are the proposed.
What we would have with the bid packet, yes.
Okay.
And they are essentially the same, just with different square footages, and one says admin building, the other says jail.
So, potentially there could be some changes to this after we talk to the Primax guy. Or after we decide if we are going to do half a roof or a patch, or there could potentially be changes. So we need to
Could be, I think most of it would, I mean,
It'll be applicable.
it shouldn't be too much changes, I would think.
Okay.
Do we still have the stuff down there that Larry brought for the generator stuff?
Yeah, where'd that go? There were only single copies of that.
Yeah. Charlie, is that stuff for the generator down there yet?